Yeah, so we're going to talk about the social, which is the support group that we both facilitate, which is for PAWS gay guys under 30. And Dirceu's just going to introduce himself.
So hi, my name's Dirceu, and yeah, I first came to YouthCO about 4 years ago when I had recently moved to Vancouver, and I was looking for, I was a volunteer at the time with the organization, and I came to the organization looking for services for young gay PAWS guys, more of a social service type thing to meet people. I didn't really know anyone in the city, so I was more looking for that than direct support services. And when I came to YouthCO, the program that existed was more of a young gay men's dinner group. It was very loosely facilitated. There wasn't really any structure to it. It was basically meeting up for meals, and then just whatever discussion happened. And eventually I got a job at YouthCO, and I took on the facilitation of the dinner group as a side thing, and I've been facilitating ever since. And then a couple of years ago, Camille came by, and he is now my co-facilitator.
Right. 1 year ago, actually, I came to YouthCO. And when I came to YouthCO, something that was different about the supports that I found there for young gay men is that there was actually a peer-led support group there now, because Dirceu was working to run that group. After first being diagnosed 5 years ago with HIV, I found that something that was really lacking for me and my supports available to me was peer support, really. I didn't have anyone that I could look up to or identify with that was living with HIV, and I had some really good medical supports in the small community where I lived, and there was even an active AIDS service organization who provided me with lots of good information, but I didn't know anyone who was positive, and I certainly didn't know anyone that I could relate to who was positive. So yeah, that's really why we do the work that we do, because we think that's crucial.
So we're going to talk a bit about why we feel this group is necessary for us. We feel we need this group because there's no non-medical support services directly targeting PAWS guys under 30 that go beyond basic needs in Vancouver. This group is an opportunity for us to talk about issues in a way that we may not be able to in our lives with peers who are going through similar situations. Since living with HIV is going to cause people to experience isolation and stigma, it's important for us to have a space available to share experiences and know that we're not going through this alone, and it also gives us an opportunity to create community with each other.
Right, so right now in Vancouver there are, I'm sure as you all know, some really wonderful support services for people living with HIV, and there's even a really wonderful peer support group for people living with HIV that's run by BCPWA, and that's a fantastic group. But what we found from talking to our members and what we know through personal experience is that young gay PAWS guys are dealing with a separate set of issues, or a particular set of issues, and what they want is an environment where they can really be with their peers and talk about their issues to one another. So that's one reason why we really feel we need this group, because we're trying to fill that gap in Vancouver that currently exists in the services. We also know that stigma and isolation are a barrier for people, particularly people living with HIV, to accessing appropriate health care, and also very damaging to people's mental health. So we're hoping that through this kind of work we can help alleviate some of that isolation.
So we aim to accomplish a couple of things with the group. We hope to reduce stigma and isolation by creating safe spaces for PAWS young guys to connect in a setting that's non-sexual. So I say this because it seems to us that young PAWS guys are often meeting online or in bathhouses or in parks or in other settings that revolve around sex. We also hope to connect young gay men together and to services to help reduce their isolation. And we hope to create stronger positive leaders in the young gay male community, and provide them with volunteer opportunities that they may not be aware of.
We'll just tell you a bit about what the meetings actually look like. In some ways it's a very typical support group. In other ways it's not. So we only meet monthly. We meet more often than that, but we have monthly support meetings. The other times we meet to attend community events, etc. But when we meet for our support meetings, we have about 8 to 10 guys usually that attend. We have check-ins and announcements, and these just give us a chance to see how the guys are doing, that tend to lead into this discussion for the support part of the evening, and the announcements are a good opportunity for us to engage the guys in community events and activities and let them know what's happening out there that they can get involved with. And then after that, we get into our discussion, our support discussion, which when I say that our group is a little bit different, I think that's because it's so loosely structured. I don't know if some of you have been to YouthCO, but we've got lots of couches and lounging areas, so we're mostly just like hanging out and talking about these issues. And that said, Dirceu and I are both facilitating, but we're more guiding the discussion and making sure that the issues are coming from the guys themselves.
And so some of the topics we touch on in our conversations, the group members discuss fears and concerns that come up for them about their health. We have conversations about sexual decision making and sex in general. Disclosure and criminalization are two things that come up quite often since they're pretty pressing today and pretty relevant. And substance use also comes up. So we try to take a harm reduction approach when we're creating safety around this topic. Treatment has also been coming up a lot lately. About half of the guys are on treatment right now and the other half aren't, so there's been a lot of sharing of experiences and decision making around how to go on meds, when to go on meds, not to go on meds, and that sort of thing. And we actually have a quote from one of the guys. He says, "I can read stuff on the internet or hear info from a doctor, but I find that I trust the information that is shared much more when it is coming from a peer who is in the same situation as me."
Right, so these topics, particularly sexual decision-making and disclosure and criminalization, we're finding are issues, and again, we know this through personal experience and from what we're hearing from the guys, these are issues that are difficult at best and sometimes even impossible to talk about with people who aren't positive. And these are issues that weigh really heavily on the minds of people who are living with HIV. So we feel it's really, really important that these guys have an opportunity to talk about that.
So some of the rad stuff we've accomplished so far is we've collaborated with YouthCO's theatre troupe, which uses forum theatre as a tool to discuss issues with particular groups. So they came to one of our meetings and did a workshop for us, and this was a great learning experience for both the social and the theatre troupe, and we're probably going to continue doing that. We did at the Positive Gathering last year, we did YouthCO's sexual health program has a workshop that they deliver in high schools to teens called Sexual Self-Esteem. So we worked with them to adapt this for a positive audience, and we did it at the Positive Gathering last year, and that was really successful. We also try to get community partners to come in and talk to the guys about services going on. So, for example, we've had BCPWA come in and tell the guys about just their programming that they may not have been aware of, and we hope to continue this with other community partners in the future. And this has led to the guys accessing services that they weren't aware of at BCPWA and other community partners. We also had a retreat this fall. It was the first one we've had. We attended Salt Spring Pride, and we went camping, and it was a lot of fun. We have zero funding other than staffing, so it was basically due to the kindness of friends and community partners that we were able to accomplish this. I don't know that we would have been able to otherwise. So that's it. We just wanted to tell you what we do, and we think it's really exciting. I hope you do too. But maybe if you have some questions, you can let us know. Thanks.